All right, so we have Mariah Rodriguez and Greer Griffith. I will give you guys a little intro on them, and then we'll do Q&A at the end. Okay, so we have talked about Bitcoin, crypto, the promise of decentralization, but like, what does that actually mean behind the scenes? We have two powerhouse women on stage right now who are at the intersection of crypto compliance and global finance, two subject matter experts in their own verticals. And they're gonna take us deeper into the world of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and what it means to understand this world in a savvy, safe, and educated way. So Greer Griffith is a crypto litigator and partner at McDermott, Will & Schulte, one of the top 25 law firms in the world. She holds both a law degree and Masters of Public Administration from the University of Pennsylvania. Greer is regularly invited to appear at and speak at industry events and conferences about blockchain and cryptocurrency. Greer is at the center of multiple complex, high-profile crypto litigations and investigations worth hundreds of millions of dollars in fiat and crypto, involving some of the largest players in the game. Her team has led more significant crypto litigations, both generally and bankruptcy-focused, than any other firm in the world. Mariah Rodriguez is a managing director at BDO USA, based here in Miami, specializing in regulatory transformation and financial crimes investigations. With 19 years of industry experience, Mariah has successfully led complex investigations, compliance initiatives, and regulatory remediation products for both U.S. and international financial institutions. Prior to joining BDO, Mariah led the financial crimes practice in Miami at Alves and Marshall. She also serves as the head of U.S. client data at a Fortune 100 global financial institution, where she spearheaded a global data transformation initiative to meet consent order requirements. So I just said a whole bunch of crazy words that like, I also maybe only understand 10%, but these are two very smart women that are working full-time, very corporate jobs in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space. And I wanted to bring them up here to help kind of pull back the curtain and demystify both the security regulatory environment and then also kind of the legal side of things. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised you guys didn't wear orange today. So orange is like the Bitcoin color. If you ever go to a Bitcoin conference or a crypto conference, you literally just see like all these men in a sea of orange. This like macaroni and cheese orange. It's not a flattering color. But
that being said, I did wear some crypto bracelets. So if anyone wants to talk about it, you could come up to me and get one. Take it home.
You have
with you.
like Taylor Swift style.
I'm ready to hand some out.
I'm dead, Greer. She actually gave me one Thursday when we went to dinner.
Join the community.
Join the crypto girls. All right. So question for both of you guys we're going to get started with is, for women who are curious about the space but maybe intimidated by the headlines, what is one misconception you think people have about crypto from either a legal or institutional standpoint?
I could take this one first. I guess I'll say two things. One, women are scared. I feel like a lot of women in my life I know don't like to do anything until they know everything about it. They tend to be perfectionists, type A, all the things that make us so successful, why we're all choosing to be here on a Saturday morning, educating ourselves. But because of that, there comes a fear with that. And then they're scared to enter the unknown. They hear a lot of these words. They don't know what it means. Whereas it's stereotypical, but a lot of men will jump in when they really don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And act really confident, like they're the subject matter expert in that area. And so I think a fear of the unknown is a misconception. It's really not that scary. You could get involved without having to know what every one of these words mean, what every type of crypto means, what all the different ways to hold crypto are. Another misconception with that, I think a lot of people think they've missed the boat. Mm-hmm. They think that crypto has gotten so expensive that you have to be rich to get in the game, that Bitcoin is now, today it's in the 90s, but last week it was in the hundreds of thousands. It's too expensive. You do not need to buy one Bitcoin to enter the market. No. You could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You could spend a couple of dollars to buy a part of a Bitcoin. You could also buy different type of crypto. We could go through all of that.
Stable
But
coins, yeah.
don't think you need $100,000 to enter the market. You do not.
Yeah, and I will also add that from my experience, a lot of women listen to their partners. So if their partners are not well informed, they'll say, no, I can't do it because my boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, whatever, doesn't think it's a good investment. So definitely educate yourself on that. But secondly, I think, especially in my field, women seem to think sometimes that it's a scam, right? Because they don't have it all the time in your traditional financial institutions. So if it's not available there, then why should I invest in it? So we'll talk more about regulation, but they seem to think that there's not enough regulation, it's a scam, there's just not enough information out there, but it definitely is.
Amazing. Thank you guys for sharing that. All right, Greer, we're going to do a couple questions focused on you and the legal landscape. So, you're at the center of some of the biggest crypto actions in the world. What matters are you seeing most often? And what do they tell us about how the industry is evolving?
Sure. So my team handles everything and anything that touches crypto and the digital asset space. So seeing a broad variety of issues. For startups in the space, there's a lot of rules around entity formation, helping to pick, and we're seeing a lot more clarity in this if you want to set up in the United States or if you want to go offshore to some popular jurisdictions there. A lot of intellectual property rights, a lot of working to help entities get money transmitter license and state license that you need in order to function. In the litigation space, we're seeing a lot of custody disputes. Who actually owns the assets? Who owns the wallets? We're seeing cases that deal with what's called token classification. This is deep legal jargon, but for those of you who have a little bit more knowledge in the area, what is considered a security? What is considered an investment contract? It's very legal terms that define that, and there's a lot of legislation that's happening right now and that's pending that's working to provide more clarity on that topic. There's also a lot of bankruptcies. Companies in this space go bankrupt, and when they go bankrupt, they need help. They need to sort out, are the assets property of the states? Can they be clawed back and fairly distributed? We work with a lot of bankrupt entities in the area. I could keep going. Last one I'll say, which will tie to Mariah, we do a lot of investigations. We do them both for companies that want to do their internal risk assessments. We also do some in response to government enforcement actions, regulatory actions. So if the regulatory body sends subpoenas, information requests, look into various entities and what's happening, we help out.
Amazing. All right, next question is, what is your advice for women who want to invest in crypto but are worried about volatility and security?
Sure. So do not invest more than you could risk, but there's many different options. You could start small to get comfortable in the market. Another option, and something that I think a lot of women don't know about, but they probably heard in the news, it's called stable coins. And stable coins are basically the digital asset that's equivalent to $1. It has to be pegged to something with a stable value, most frequently the US dollar. And stable coins are what people and what we would recommend. I should give my disclaimer, I forgot to say it. Everything I'm saying here, general info, not legal or investment advice. But stable coins are what we see people starting to use more for real world transactions. If you actually want to purchase a handbag, if you want to send a large amount of money in a deal cross border instantaneously when you don't need a bank to be open, stable coins are the way to go. That's how you avoid having those stories you hear about where you bought a pizza using Bitcoin and all of a sudden that pizza today would be worth millions of dollars.
I'm going to add something to that. Going back to the point that you made that some women seem to think that they have waited too late to get into the Bitcoin. If you want to get into it now, stablecoin is the perfect timing. Every single day I get calls from different companies that are starting to launch stablecoin, and it's backed by valuables such as gold, precious metals, art, handbags, you name it. So if that's something that piques your interest, definitely look to see if there's a stable coin back to that. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so there's a perception that crypto operates in a lawless world. From your seat, what's the reality?
It's being worked on. For years now, a lot of what players in the industry have learned from are enforcement actions. There's been a lot of guessing. They've had to see where regulatory bodies are looking into different areas and then setting law through those regulatory actions. That's been problematic. It's hard to predict. It's caused a lot of instability, a lot of uncertainty. Big players, traditional financial institutions, they don't like that. They don't want to get involved if there's a guessing game. So the theme of 2025, and I'm stealing this from a pending legislation, is clarity. And so there is an act called, you might have seen it in the news, the Clarity Act. But there's been a lot of work with the government right now looking to pass various legislation and guidance that'll provide more guardrails, more instructions to companies and those in the space about what's what. So some of those that you might have seen, but you didn't know what they were, the Genius Act that got a lot of publicity in July when it was passed, that's the one that's looking to implement the first federal robust regime for stablecoins, which is what we were just talking about. And then there's the Clarity Act, which is not passed yet, but looking to provide guidance on things like which crypto would be governed by which jurisdiction. The Securities Exchange Commission, the CFTC, token taxonomy. What that means is, how is a crypto classified? Is it a security, a commodity? Neither, depends on the type, and a lot of legal specifications.
Love that. So last question for you is for women who are totally new to the crypto industry, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
So as Emily said, first step is what you guys are all doing here. You're listening to us talk about it, but trust those in your network. Reach out to other women. There are a lot of scammers. There is a lot of fraud in the industry. You want to operate with reputable players in the space. If you don't know who those are, we're all very approachable. Message us and ask. We will help provide some clarity on which are safe and which are not. But don't be scared to jump in. There's so many ways, between listening to a podcast, reading a book, or actually trying what I like, the technology out yourself. You could just open up a wallet, and there's something called test transactions where you could send a super small amount of crypto to another wallet. And it's a way for you to see what it's like to transfer crypto, and then to see that transfer on what Emily was describing, the public blockchain. You'd actually see it there. So it's a good way to see and practice what you keep hearing everyone talk about high level.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool when you like do a transaction and then you see it on the ledger for the first time. It's like, wait, I did that? This is real. It's not made up. It's like, I remember when I had set up an at-home miner, and it took me a very long time to figure it out and connect the, but I'm not going to bore you. Anyway, I finally figured it out, and I got to log on to see the transaction happen, and it was like 0.0001 Bitcoin went to the wallet. And I'm like, it's my wallet. It was so exciting. I felt like this huge sense of accomplishment, but also the act of setting that up and going through the process. I learned so much in that I would never have learned if I watched somebody else do it or read a book on it. Like the best thing you can do is to try to do it yourself. And you're going to stumble along the way, but you're going to learn a lot.
I also want to add, if you know anybody that already has a wallet, because it's a public digital ledger, you can see their wallets and their transactions. So if you are worried about doing it yourself, you can ask, for an example, and they can definitely show you that. So
Yeah.
that's another way to look
Yeah.
at it also.
It's like the coolest thing once you see it. It sounds so nerdy, but like
That being said, let me
I guess
give
we're super nerds.
the biggest warning. If you guys take anything away from this, never share your password.
Yes.
Ever. Like, if someone's volunteering to help you how to do this, do not share your password unless
You
it's
can't get it back if it's gone. If
it's
your
how
crypto's
you
gone,
will
cannot get
lose
it
your
back.
crypto.
If
If you get a text, if you get a phone call, I get them weekly, pretending to be Coinbase, saying I will never see my crypto
I get
again.
daily Coinbase texts.
It's
Coinbase.
it's fake. Don't respond, and don't give whoever's calling or texting you your password.
All right, Mariah, we're going to move on to you. A couple specific questions in the regulation compliance on an institutional side. So what are the biggest red flags you look for when you're auditing a crypto business or exchange?
So this kind of goes back to what we're talking about right now. You want to make sure that if you're going to use your hard-earned money to use a platform to invest, two things, that they are registered and you can look that up online. Also, make sure that the link that you're using is the actual link itself. That the app that you're using is the actual app itself. I cannot tell you how many investigations I've worked where someone lost a ridiculous amount of money because they used a link that had one letter off. So that's one, but you want to make sure that the owners and the individuals that are leading the company, that they're very driven into making sure that they're following the correct regulatory model. As we've learned from other exchanges that are no longer active, the owners and the CEOs did not particularly care about regulation. So you have to make sure that you do a little bit of research. What's the risk appetite as it relates to that. But most importantly is make sure that they're registered with some sort of regulator, either state or federal, and that it's an actual company, that it's real, and that there's other people investing in it.
That's great advice. So how is crypto changing the way we think about compliance and anti-money laundering frameworks?
Yeah. So, fun fact, I set up the compliance program for the largest exchange a few years back. So it's been a long time coming, but crypto companies know that they have to follow regulation. What's lacking, not necessarily lacking, but what's lagging behind are the financial institutions. Most financial institutions are already connected to a ledger. They just have to turn it on and put products in there. So the appetite is there. There's some states that are already requiring some of these financial institutions to have analytics tools and blockchain tools to be able to start doing research, start tracing. So I think we're getting there. And I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see that most large financial institutions will be connected to the blockchain, and you'll also be able to invest and move digital assets through them.
Amazing. All right, last question for you, Mariah, is you've led major investigations into financial crimes and regulatory transformations. How are institutions actually integrating crypto today? Are they embracing it? Are they still skeptical? I feel like all the headlines I've read this year, 2025, like every major bank that was anti-crypto all of a sudden has completely flip-flopped. And a lot of these banks and traditional brokerages are gearing up to start accepting crypto trading and crypto investing, not just through ETFs in 2026.
Yeah. So the change in regulation this year has been huge with the Genius Act and the Clarity Act that they're currently working on. I think it's given some warmth for these institutions to know that the government is actually embracing. A few years back, there's a lot of enforcements for various reasons, and a lot of it was warranted. But really quickly, I'll tell you a story. I was at the Florida Bankers Association conference, and it's traditional banking. And most of the questions that they had is about custody. How do they custody the clients that do have it? And secondly, how do they back a stable coin? So I think the questions are being asked. They want to do it the right way. They want to use the regulation to their advantage. And most importantly, they don't want to get left behind. So they're actively working and implementing different solutions, but most importantly, they're asking the questions.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, and this is not like financial advice for anybody out there, but for me personally, the adoption that we've seen on an institutional and really high profile corporate level this year is such a leading indicator of the fact that this space is not going anywhere. And part of my conviction behind why it is so important for women to become educated in the crypto space, it is the future of finance, whether it's Bitcoin or just even understanding blockchain technology. Blockchain technology alone is going to fundamentally change the financial institutions. It's changing the way we're banking. It's changing the way we're moving money. And it is imperative that we educate ourselves on that and really understand it. The adoption rate of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, whatever you want to call it, today is the same as where we were at with the internet in 1999. So if you think about if some of you probably weren't alive in 1999, but if you think about where we were at with the internet in 1999, it was like, I think of that Sandra Bullock movie where someone's ordering a pizza and it comes to the door 2 hours later. And then there's this massive explosive growth, and you can't exist today without the internet. We don't know how to live without the internet. That is where we are at in terms of percentage of the population that has adopted cryptocurrency and has it as regular jargon. And we are about to experience massive growth. So it is not too late to get in. It is still very, very, very early. You are ahead of, you know, the majority of the world, even just by sitting here listening to this conversation now. And so it's up to you. What do you do with that information? And it's not necessarily that you need to go out and make a purchasing decision from this, but it's really just starting to educate yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And also other countries, they are already ahead. El Salvador, they take a lot of digital asset payments. So we're slowly getting there, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, we're going to do hot take and wrap things up here. So, okay, both of you guys, hot take, crypto or Bitcoin?
So totally personal preference. For me, Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, you'll probably be happy. Not investment advice.
She's got to get that legal disclaimer on there.
Yes, I would concur.
And I'm the same. I'm like, I call myself a Bitcoin maximalist. So maybe our team up here is a little biased, but we're Bitcoiners. We tolerate the other cryptocurrencies. Next one, self-custody or exchange?
Exchange. In the process of obtaining a digital asset, whether it's Bitcoin or crypto, you have a wallet where your asset exists. You have two choices. You can either hold that wallet and put it in cold storage yourself. It's going to be a little USB type of thing, or you have an exchange, and the exchange like Robinhood, Coinbase, you name it, there's hundreds of them, will hold it for you for a fee. So she's asking what our preference would be, either for us to hold it or for an exchange to hold it. Do you want to add anything to that?
Sure, I could provide tips, pros and cons of both. My choice is self-custody, but I'll explain why. I think the two things to think about are yourself. Do you understand the technology? If you do not understand the technology yet, the exchange is a much, much easier way to hold crypto. And then risk. What type of person are you? Are you the type of person that has to reset their Netflix password every single week? Are you the type of person that can't find your car keys? If that's you, you probably want to go with the exchange, because if you self-custody, there is no reset your password capability.
It's gone. You lose those keys. You're going to log onto the ledger. You're going to look at the blockchain and you're going to see this one little wallet with whatever your coins are in there, and you can't ever get them again.
Gone
Mariah
forever.
can't even help you.
And that's one of the most, I think, horrifying aspects of it. It's one of the biggest cases I've been working on for years right now, has to do with a bankrupt entity that lost the keys to a wallet containing millions and millions of dollars of Ethereum, which is a different type of cryptocurrency. And as Emily was saying, you could go onto websites like Etherscan, type in a wallet address, and you see the money there. So it's as if you're seeing money in a bank vault, but you don't have the key to get in. You see the crypto and you just can't access it. So
No one else can either.
and no one else can. So I do like self-custody. I know you're probably thinking, why would you ever pick self-custody and not an exchange? The reason for that is then this gets into the more legal aspect, but if you do an exchange could get hacked. An exchange could get bankrupt.
And they have a lot of exchanges have gotten hacked, and
And
a lot of
bankrupt.
have gone bankrupt. And those are a lot of the cases these
I handle, and then
women are working on.
And there's a big misconception. People think that it's their crypto at the exchange, but that's not necessarily the truth. You have to look behind the scenes and see how the crypto was actually held, what the terms of services are at the exchange, because what could happen and what has happened in a lot of cases is an exchange goes bankrupt and then you don't have your crypto anymore. It becomes property of the state. And here's a bankruptcy term, you do get a claim to it, so you'll get a distribution, but unless
Eventually.
you have really good lawyers like myself to help fight for recoveries for creditors, it's going to be an uphill battle.
It's like any other asset that you have. You want to put it in a trust. Basically, you have to have a will around it, right? So that when you do pass, somebody is aware of where it's located, what the password is, and how to obtain it. The same way you would do with any other asset.
So you do want to, to be clear, you probably do want to share the password with someone,
That you trust.
right? But make sure you know who that person is and make sure that person is incredibly reliable and is not going to, for example, put it
Your
on
lawyer.
like a note app on their phone that they
Yeah.
then forget and it's stolen.
And it, like that, this is a whole new business being formed right now in the space. Is I'm blanking on the name of what is this called? Estate planning and estate
Around it,
planning
yeah.
around cryptocurrency. So like this is something, obviously my father's been in the space for a long time. We talk about this all the time. He has different things in all kinds of different places, and I'm on his back every time I see him. I'm like, if you die, what happens? Like, my stepmom doesn't know this key. This, like, where is everything? It's a huge, it is an issue, but there are a lot of companies and a lot of lawyers or estate planners that are specialized in the space, and they can help you figure out how to structure things. You definitely want to make sure that you're working with somebody who does have experience in the space and, quite frankly, is involved in it themselves. I think, we had a conversation. I've hung out with Greer the last few days in a row, and we've had a lot of conversations about a lot of different things, a lot in crypto. And I think the most important takeaway is the space is still so young. It's so new. There's all these people popping up that are self-proclaimed experts, because guess what? They are. They're the biggest expert in the space, even though they haven't been doing it that long. And the most important thing you can do is, and we didn't touch on this today in our conversation, but Greer was personally invested in cryptocurrency before she ended up actually working in that department on her team. And I think every single person on your 125 plus person crypto team at McDermott, one of the largest law firms in the world, actually personally got involved in the space before they came on in a professional capacity, because there aren't a lot of resources out there at institutions, at colleges, at schools. Like, it's just such a new industry. So you want to find somebody that personally is invested and passionate about the space, and then also has experience. And it is a little scary because it's not going to be, no one's going to have decades and decades of experience, because this industry hasn't been around for decades and decades.
But that's also the best part, and I think one of the most exciting parts is that you can become the expert at
Yep.
your company. Almost all of your companies, I guarantee, are going to start to seek exposure in this area and with this technology. And you're not, in so many industries, you're battling the people who have been in the space for 40, 50 years. I know in law, you have to wait your turn, with a lot of the major clients, with the people that have been here for 40, 50 years. They don't exist. The technology is new. So you can become that expert, and that'll give you such a special skill set, because your companies, whatever industry you work in, are going to be looking for this. And if they know they could call on you to just explain simple things, that's a huge value add.
So as I've been setting up these mining operations, I also was relying really heavily on AI to help me learn some of the fundamentals. And I think in a lot of instances, it is a really great starting point, but it is not accurate, you guys. I would upload, I'd have performas and look at P&Ls on like different mining scenarios, and I would upload it just to like have a different point of view, because I was kind of doing this like on my own with, a couple of other people, but I wanted another opinion. And the information it would spit out would just be completely wrong. It would tell me, oh, Bitcoin's price today is $60,000. This is the energy hash rate. This is how much you're going to mine from X, Y, and Z, because the data in there is so out of date, and the speed at which the crypto industry is moving actually much faster than AI is moving. And a lot of the AI platforms out there, they're not pushing crypto updates the way they are pushing, relational. Like, I know a lot of us will use, I'm so guilty, ChatGPT is my second therapist, analyze screenshots, help me rewrite emails, not get sassy to, whatever. But I really caution you with using AI to understand any of the more complicated crypto scenarios beyond just like, what is Bitcoin? What is a blockchain? Like, kind of like the 101 section I gave you, like, that's really the extent of which I would go. And please jump in and tell me if you guys think differently, but I would not go any deeper than that into AI. I would find books, find podcasts, listen to people, start going to conferences, because the industry is changing so fast, and the information, AI is literally making up information about cryptocurrency.
I have seen that actually. There was an investigation that we were working in, and long story short, the AI wasn't calibrated correctly, and then it was handing out incorrect information. So I'm in agreement with that. Do your research, but most of the, like I mentioned, most of it is regular technology. Read books and go to the actual websites of the products that you're interested in.
All right, last question is, if you guys could leave the audience with one message about how to safely participate in the digital asset economy, whether through investing, building, or simply staying informed, what would it be?
So I think it's an opportunity to facilitate your financials in the future, right? What I mean by that is, being an international firm that I work in and being from a different country, the way that you're able to move funds so quickly as opposed to your traditional banking institution is absolutely amazing. So if you take anything from it, is you could be using assets that can facilitate payments at a speed of light, right? So if that's what you want to do, definitely look into it, educate yourself, but I think you are going to be in an advantage. And lastly, also for your investments as women, a lot of times we don't invest ourselves. We let our partners invest for us. I think this is a great opportunity for you to do something for yourself that's basically going to lead us into the future of investment. So that's what I would tell you.
So I've given a lot of tips, but another tip coming your way: yield, interest. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. I'm guilty of that myself. I actually lost some crypto when I was seeking to diversify, chasing the yield offered at Voyager. I don't know if you guys heard that platform. But so if you get a lot of yield, that probably means that the exchange has more ownership of your crypto, because they're able to use it to rehypothecate, make profit, reinvest, keep that interest. So a lot of legalese terms you're hearing, but really do your due diligence, because a new thing in the industry is this advertisement that we'll promise 4 or 5% return. Look into what that means.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your time. So the bottom line here is wealth is power. And right now, crypto is having a massive wealth. And with crypto, a massive wealth shift is happening. So now is not the time to sit on the sidelines because it feels intimidating. We're here to start learning, start small. And you guys are all doing that by being here today. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all learned something new today from our Crypto 101. I hope it wasn't too boring.
Thank you.